draft picks for the Packers, we're going to go back and relive last year through reading the details of the games. Just to remember, we do this every year, Jacob. We would do a refresher. All right, what actually happened last year? And let's take it right up. That'll take us right up to training camp. We're off and running. So make sure you check it out. But all right, so the next topic here, 6 prospects that could be available for Green Bay at pick 159. This is starting to get really fun because as you climb on down the board, you start to find quite a few gems here. And you start to see which positions that the Packers have met with later in the draft that really feel like, okay, that might be where they're targeting that position at, right? So if you couple that with the information we have on the top 30 visits and what we just talked about on who may or may not be in the first or second round in terms of targets for the Packers, you start to see this blueprint, this map of what the Packers may be looking to do in the draft. So here's what we wrote. When Green Bay makes a choice with pick 159 in the 5th round, there's a decent chance these players could still be on the board below our scouting reports on each, along with their ranking on our PTA big board. Notably, all 6 have met with the Packers at some point, whether through visits, workouts, or interviews during the 2025 NFL draft process. First on the list is this guy right here, Mr. Jared Wilson out of Georgia. He's in the 122 spot. What I did was I went up about 20 spots on our board and just started looking for the cheese emojis and then climbed down to about 20 spots below it. So Jared Wilson's first. Jared Wilson's a sturdy, technically sound center with a strong anchor and a low center of gravity. He excels in the run game using his leverage to seal off defenders and has shown solid awareness and pass protection during the 2024 season. While he lacks elite athleticism, his consistency and football IQ make him a dependable option. Projected as a mid-round pick, Wilson could provide the Packers with depth along the interior offensive line and a potential future starter at center. As you see here with the PFF grades, in 2021, he peaked actually 82.3, albeit it looks like it was minimal snaps. He fell back to a 64.4 minimal snaps, jumped back up to a 70.2 minimal snaps, and then in 2024, he jumped back up to a 79.6, which was the 11th highest graded center in all of college football in 2024. So Jacob Bayer, if I remember correctly, smaller school, actually graded out higher on our board, and obviously with PFF when it comes to playing center in college. Those grades worry me a little bit. I don't know if you guys can find information on the injury history, why when you don't see this rank right here, see how it says 11th, that means they didn't meet the qualifying amount of snaps. So it makes me wonder why does he not have that here? If you guys want to run some of that down. Jacob, if you want to start just talking about what you think about Jared Wilson here out of Georgia.
Yeah, Jared Wilson's kind of an interesting subject, like you talked about, Clay. So he had only played 8 games in 2022, which totaled 67 snaps. In 2023, he only had 131 snaps with 9 games of play. Like you said, 2024, he finally comes in, has a pretty darn good grade, basically an 80 flat. He played 12 games, over 800 snaps. He allowed 0 sacks, 1 hit, and 5 hurries. He's predominantly a center as far as where he's played. He played 810 snaps in 2024. In 2023, had a short stint at right guard and left guard. And then in 2022, also the same thing, left guard and right guard. I don't know if it was necessarily an injury thing or if he just wasn't able to see the field. Georgia has some pretty decent football players from what I'm told.
Yeah.
So it was just maybe one of those facts where he just couldn't see the field. Run block rate of 76, pass block rate of 84.9, which I think is pretty cool. True pass set pass block rate of a 90.5. So I could totally see him slipping in. He also, I believe, ran like a 4.8 or 4.9 and 40 at the combine. So dude can move. Yep.
I don't see anything injury related for him either, Jacob. So it could be, inconsistency or something, inexperience early on there that kept him off the field until the last couple of years.
There you go. All right. So Jared Wilson, again, he's fallen in here at the 122 spot on our PTA big board. The Packers have met with him already. So moving along to the next one, we got Isaiah Bond, wide receiver out of Texas. This is obviously Matthew Golden's former teammate at Texas. They both, to the best of my knowledge, were top 30 visits, right? Which is really interesting that they bring both those receivers in. really says a lot. We've got Isaiah Bond in the 127 spot. That's significantly lower than most people do. Isaiah Bond's a speedy wide receiver with a knack for getting open deep and turning short catches into big gains. His 2024 performance highlighted his explosiveness and elusiveness, though he's still developing his route running polish and needs to add strength to handle physical corners. Bond's upside as a vertical threat make him an intriguing day 3 prospect for Green Bay, who could serve as a developmental playmaker with special teams potential. You guys talk about Bond for a second. I'll get the PFF here if you want to just kind of highlight it. I'm going to go look at the mock draft database and see where he's most recently been picked at.
I mean, Isaiah Bond is, again, kind of a unique person. 5'11" is what DraftBuzz has him at. Says he ran a 4.39. I've also seen as high as a 4.35. They have him projected as basically an impact Z, meaning kind of like that Jaden Reed role, you know what I mean, where you can kind of move him around, where he's not necessarily, people may consider him a little bit quote unquote undersized, but he does have the bona fides that he's done out wide. As you see there, his out wide snaps are 418 to in the slot 104. I think he's one of those guys that's kind of a puzzle piece for sure. And even if it's a 4.39 or 4.35, the dude's got the speed, definitely. So I would definitely wouldn't mind him in the 5th for sure. He's a little bit of a question mark for me is what he can actually do as a receiver, but I would not be mad at a round 5th round pick for Isaiah Bond. How about you, Tim?
I think 5th round is fair. There's a few other guys that are that same kind of stature that I would go a little bit higher, including Jalen Noel is another name that comes to mind.
Royals.
Yep. Jalen Royal is another good example. So, I mean, I think 5th is fair for Bond. I really do. But clearly looks like, the most difficult part is the stuff he doesn't control, right? The height. It's, what are you going to do?
Yeah. And what's crazy is I think there is zero chance he'll be around in the 5th. The reason we put him on this list is because that's where we got him on our board. Yeah. The fact that the Packers met with him, maybe they were trying to get some closure on that question as well. Like, okay, yeah, he's not as high as we thought he was. Of course, they may look at him and see him as the best receiver in the draft. But Chad Reuter did a mock draft actually yesterday at NFL.com, and he had the LA Rams taking him at 32. On March 31st or March 21st, Chad Reuter, his other mock draft before that, actually had the LA Rams taking him at 32. And then before that was February 27th, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Ayrton Osley, I hope I'm saying that name right, had Washington taking Isaiah Bond 29th overall. So if these mock drafts are anywhere near accurate, he's going to be long gone by the 5th. But again, this is one that if you're saying, hey, top 30 visit, we might be eyeing him for pick 23. No. Let's hope that's not the case. Of course, if it is, who knows? Maybe they'll prove us wrong. But in terms of – go ahead, Jake. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I will say he just turned 21. And PFF's little kind of write-up says that Bond's world-class speed will be coveted, likely in the top 50, but he needs to continue to grow as a receiver, not just a fast player, to remain on the field for more than vertical play calls. So they're straight saying that he's going to go in the top 50. They have him, I believe, at 109 on the PFF consensus big board right now. But like you said, I don't see him last until the 5th, but I just don't feel like – I mean, if we – oh Lord! If we take him at 23,
I'll share that.
I'll buy a jersey, but I'll pretend.
It's going to be one of those players that would love to have him in the 5th round. Hell, even the 4th, I could stomach that, right? Yeah. But boy, oh boy, when he goes off the board, Tim, in the 1st or 2nd round, I'm going to go. Like, okay, because I mean, when you look at why he's ranked there, and again, I'm not trying to knock the guy personally, but in 2022, he was 848th at his position according to PFF. He jumped all the way to 116 in 23, but then fell back to 318 in 24. The PFF Big Board had him at 79 at the end of the year. The Consensus Big Board had him at 48. Kyle Krabs had him at 62, but Dane Brugler had him at 94. And again, he was the one saying he was going to go into the combine, break the speed record, right? The 40-yard dash record, and didn't even come close. His teammate ran faster than him, right? So it's going to be interesting to see where he falls for sure. But for those of you listening on the pod, that's going to do it for we're going to pick up, continue this conversation, I should say, with these 5th round potentials for the Packers in hour 2. We'll see you on the other side. We appreciate you.
For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome in hour 2. Let's continue on here with potential picks in the 5th round for the Packers. Up next, we got Jacob Parrish in the 131 spot on our big board. Obviously, cornerback out of Kansas State. Jacob Parrish is a scrappy, competitive cornerback who plays bigger than his frame suggests. He's quick to react in zone coverage and has a nose for the ball, though his lack of top-end speed can leave him vulnerable against elite burners. His 2024 tape shows toughness and run support and a willingness to mix it up. A likely 5th-round talent, Parrish could give the Packers a feisty depth piece in the secondary with slot versatility. You go to the PFF grades, Jacob Parrish, according to PFF, 5'10", 198. You guys go check the card, the RAS card, to get the exact measurements. 2022, he was a 69. In 2023, he jumped to a 69.9. And then in 2024, he jumped all the way up to a 74.7. And you can see here, he had 470 snaps out wide as a wide cornerback. And then he played in the slot 91 snaps, along with box snaps of 44. So when you take those two together, sometimes those box snaps should be slot snaps. They're just playing zone and playing off that slot receiver a bit. So I would probably couple those together and say 135 slot snaps and 470 out wide. A little bit of versatility there. But what do you boys think about Jacob Parrish here potentially in the 5th round?
Man, I don't mind him, the idea of it. It's just man, I don't know. Like you said, he's pretty steady Eddie. 69, 69.9, 74.4, or 74.7. He played 11 games, 12 games, 12 games. Like you talked about, almost every year he's predominantly out wide, but does have a little bit of a versatility part to him within the slot in the box, like you talked about. Run defense grade is very respectable at 71.4. Man coverage grade is a 64.8. The zone coverage grade is a 77.4. A little bit undersized for my liking, I guess, is what I'd say. And I don't know. I got in the 5th though. I'd totally be all about it. I really would. It's just it's finding where exactly he would be a fit. I'm just worried that he would kind of go into that hopper of our cornerbacks where it's Bullard, Hobbs, insert any other guy, that could possibly play that slot / outside role. I don't know. I feel like we would need, if we're going to get a cornerback in this draft, I want him to be more of this guy is definitely going to be in this position type guy. I don't want another tweener, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. It does, man. And again, these are players that the Packers have already met with in some fashion. So they've shown some kind of interest in Jacob Parrish here, Tim. But I agree, man. You look at the measurables and everything, it doesn't jump off the page, but there is some consistency there with those PFF grades. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't ever bad, Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like I can't find much on injury history with him either. So he's playing a lot of ball. He's available. It is interesting that the Packers did meet with him, because he definitely does not meet the thresholds for the build at corner that they like. He's definitely shorter and a little leaner than the Packers are usually interested in, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to take a swing at him, especially if we don't go corner early and we're talking 5th round here. I don't know if he'd be like the first guy on my list, but he certainly wouldn't be the last guy on my list to take a flyer on. So I think there's a lot to like about him.
Yeah. And again, the reality is there's going to be players that are higher on our board that are probably available when we pick in the 120s, right? Like that's most likely going to happen. These are just players being realistic, going, all right, 20 spots above, 20 spots below. What do we have here, right? Moving along. Oh, here's the RAS card. I apologize. So he actually, Tim, as you said, he was a little too small for Green Bay's liking. I looked at 5'10", and I thought, for a later round pick, 198, he meets the threshold there. 5'10", he meets the threshold in terms of like Jair, I think, was 5'10", but that wasn't his actual measurement, was it, Tim? He came in at 5'9". So you're right, man. That's a little short. Now, 191 pounds, so 12 bench reps. Vertical jump looked good for a shorter dude, 37.5 inches, 10.09 broad jump. So his explosion's great. Elite composite speed grade there. Obviously, the tape appeared he could get beat deep. That might be more of a technical, lack of being able to handle a release package, because his speed in terms of the 40-yard dash, a 4.35. Yeah. So
probably a technique thing with him, right? Getting his hips spun around, and then he's out of the play. Yeah,
cooked. Yeah, and that 20-yard split looking good there to 2.55. So Jacob Parrish out of Kansas State. Packers got their eyes on him potentially somewhere around the 4th or 5th round. So, all right, moving along here, we got Kobe Bryant.
Kobe.
Look at that high step. Was you kidding me? You're looking at the quarterback right now like you hate your life. You hate your life. I don't know about back here. What's this? What's going on right here? Can somebody help me?
Man, leave the sound guy alone.
Is that a guy? Okay, sorry. Kobe Bryant.
I'm just assuming. I don't know.
Here we
Don't
go.
assume their
Kobe Bryant,
gender, Clayton. Gosh.
cornerback out of Kansas. Kobe Bryant is a rangy cornerback with good length and a flair for making plays on the ball. He's shown ball hawking ability in 2024 with a knack for jumping routes. Though he's still refining his technique and can get grabby downfield, Bryant's athleticism and instincts give him upside as a developmental prospect. Available in the 5th round, he could be a project worth grooming for Green Bay's defensive backfield. When you look at the PFF grades, boy, he is ascending.
Yeah.
The card on PFF shows 6'1", 175. Obviously, that's way too light for Green Bay's locking in terms of weight, but the height is nice. 2021, his PFF grade was a 64.6. Then he jumps to a 73 or 70.3. Then he jumps to a 77.9. Then he jumps all the way to an 80.9, right? So appreciate you putting that up there. He also had 60 snaps in the box and 42 in the slot, right? But the big thing I want you to key in on here, look at that run defense grade, boys.
That's incredible.
91.3. That's crazy. 4th best of all corners.
4th out of 803. I mean, I laugh just because it's like,
yes,
I don't know. It's like I want that. 6'1",
Crazy, right?
175.
He's on the lighter side too. We just talked about him not
yeah.
being the biggest dude, and it's like apparently that's not a big deal, huh?
I just hope that as he like
immediately
hit
makes you
sticks
think
people.
it immediately makes you think he's scrappy, right, Jacob?
I was
Like,
just-
the dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I hope that while he just hit sticks people, he just goes Kobe as he's hitting. Like I want him on the team. I don't know where we would get him if it is in the 5th. That's cool. Like if he happens to slide that way, I want him on the team. He seems like he is just kind of more of like that old school, a little bit taller, a little bit bigger build cornerback that's not afraid to come in there and put his head down and make a tackle. Sign me up for that, dude. I'm cool with that.
Yep.
All right, so here is the RAS card. It's incomplete for whatever reason. So his height came in actually at 6 foot, and he did put on a little bit of weight. So he's 6 foot, 180 pounds. At 180, he needs to put on another 5 to 10 pounds to kind of meet that sweet spot for the Packers. The 6 foot checks out, though. That checks out just fine. The 40-yard dash of 4.53, right? You know what it kind of feels like with the run defense grade? You get him late in the draft. Let's say he's on the board in the 6th round. You snag him and work him in as a backup slot so he can help in the run fit. If for some reason a slot goes down, with that run defense grade, you ain't got to be too concerned with that 4.53 40-yard dash, and just put your nose in there and help with the run game. And who knows, man, you may draft him and try to convert him to safety, put some extra weight on him, you may go that route. But obviously the RAS didn't help him that much. 9 1/4 hand size, 31 1/4 arm length there as well. So it's funny, man. You look at this screen and go, hell yeah. You look at this screen and go, whoa, no. But again, you guys know how I feel about this, and I think I'm in the extreme minority. PFF, in my opinion, leans towards what does the tape show. They're not perfect. I'm going to say that. If you're saying you got to choose one, how did they do in the underwear Olympics, or how do they look on tape? I'm going with the tape every time. I am. So,
Yep.
Any other thoughts here, Tim, on Kobe Bryant before we move along, man?
Just reading a little bit more on some of the scouting reports from PFF. They talk about him having that attitude. He's got that right. I guess we'll call it the Mamba mentality, right? Like just like Kobe, likes to be physical, but he's a little undersized, right? And I saw the write up here. He's real comfortable hand fighting to disrupt receivers, which can get you in trouble. End up, either getting burned or getting penalized. So there's going to be certain attributes to his game that are going to have to change at the pro level for him to find success in the league. But, this is a guy, another one, like I'm not running towards him, but I'm not running away from him either. It all depends on how the board falls on draft day. Could we do better than Kobe? Sure. But we can do a lot worse too with some of these corners. So definitely see why he's on the radar.
Yeah. Jacob, you good on Kobe?
Just one more thing. As Tim was talking about that, he talks about Draft Buzz says Kobe Bryant was a 3-star recruit who lettered in basketball, baseball, and track alongside of football, where he brought his athletic versatility to Lawrence, where he was in a prep school there. He had a nose for the football that was evident from the fact that he returned 5 out of 8 interceptions for touchdowns during his career there. Like, that to me just sounds more and more like, let's go, dude. Let's go. Bring him in.
And this sounds a lot like what we say, right? Like, oh, the RAS card looks kind of but hey, this kid may be a football player, man.
Could be. King Tron with the super chat. Thank you so much, Tron. Appreciate you, buddy. Says Kalen King, baby. Kalen King. Thanks, boys. Go Pack, go. I'm a big fan of Kalen King, man. I hope he gets some significant playing time this year, or at least worked into the rotation a bit. I'm also big on Carrington now, man. Carrington Valentine won me over last year, man.
Oh yeah.
There's nobody giving him enough credit. And everybody will act surprised if he takes another step this year. I'm not going to be surprised at all if we look up and he's grading out in the mid-70s. I'm just telling you, like that's the type of tape he put together. Playing that zone, keeping his eyes in the backfield, breaking off of his coverage to intercept balls in the end zone. And there was twice that he took the ball away in the red zone from offenses. I think there's something there now. And you guys know his rookie year, I was hard on him. I was like, yep, Valentine's probably not going to translate over to the NFL. And then, boy, he shut me up last year. I think that's really going under the radar. I really do. All right, next on the list, Tyler Barron, defensive end out of Miami. And again, Tron, thank you for that super chat, Bob. We appreciate you. Tyler Barron's a high-effort edge rusher with a solid blend of power and quickness off the edge. He's flashy pass rush potential. He's flashed pass rush potential in 2024 using his hands effectively. Though he lacks the elite bend to consistently win around the corner, Barron's motor and strength make him a contributor against the run as well. As a fifth-round prospect, he could provide the Packers with rotational depth and special teams value on the defensive line. When you look at the PFF grades, boy, 60.1, 72.9, increases to a 73.7, then jumps up to a 78.5, and then in 2024 he took a slight step back to 76.1. But 4 straight years grading out into the mid to upper 70s. That's pretty darn stout. And look at the pass rush grade, boys, 84.4 with a run defense grade of 76.7. The PFF card here, Jacob, says 6'5", 260. We'll see what the RAS card says in a second. But boy, oh boy, that looks like that might be a late rounder. If he does use his hands well, like they're saying, that might be a guy.
Yeah. The whole Miami edge department is a little bit interesting as you get deeper into the draft between Tyler Barron and I believe it's Elijah Austin or something, or Alston, something like that. But Barron, I mean, you talk about, he's the definition of steady Eddie, man. He comes in there, he plays 13 games. He's got decent sack totals in 2024. He had 10 hits. He had 28 hurries. To be honest, I'm a little bit surprised he graded, I don't want to say as low as he did, but it's a 76.1. It's a respectable grade. But I mean, you look around, his pass rush grade was an 84.4. Like you talked about, a run defense grade of 76.7. The true pass set pass rush grade was a 90. And he has an 18.7 pass rush win rate. Oh, and that all goes along with a 9% run stop rate. I mean, the guy, his stats are exceedingly I'd say superior than what his grade actually reflects there. You saw in 2023 he had the best year of his grades was a 78.5. I would argue that 2024 he should have gotten a better grade than that. I don't know. I'm gonna have to write the PFF guys and ask what the heck's going on there. But
let us know what
size is there. I like it a lot. I'd love that pick in round 5. Absolutely.
What about you, Tim?
It's a Knoxville guy, man. It's a Tennessee kid.
Oh,
is it really?
Ensworth High School in Nashville, and then he transferred to Knoxville Catholic High School.
Oh, Knoxville Catholic. Hey, they got that big shamrock on the helmet, boy.
Yep.
Mimicking my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Woo. Go ahead, Tim.
Absolutely.
That's out in West Knoxville. Now, listen, they are some yuppies out there. I'm just going to say there's some higher class people out there, but they can play football. Go ahead. Sorry.
Vanderbilt.
He, again, looking at the RAS card, right? You see a little bit of red there, but I don't think anything to be wildly concerned about, especially things like weight. Again, I'll take him to Curls. He can get Butterburgers on me. We'll thicken him up a little bit. And I think for, like we're talking 5th round value here, if we don't go edge early, if we're looking to fill, this is a definite rotation guy. This is a depth pick here, right? This guy's probably not going to run out onto the field and steal a starting job. Although if he did, that would be incredible because that picks up everybody else in that locker room, then makes them step their game up. So I like Tyler Barron. Not in love, but I definitely like him for sure.
Yeah. It may be one of those late round guys, man. 6'4" is what he weight or measured in at. His weight was 258. You can get him to 265 easy, no problem. Bench press a little bit concerning with only 19 reps, but the vertical jump 35.5 inches and the broad jump of 10.01 shows he's got the explosion, right? 40-yard dash, if I'm reading that correctly, a 4.62. Like,
Wow.
that is really impressive with a 20-yard split of 2.69 and a 10-yard split of 1.61. So his composite speed grade is actually elite. Look at the arm length, over 33 inches, 33.13. That now, obviously, the composite agility grade says okay, but it's in the red there with a 4.71 grade off the shuttle and a 4.83 grade off the 3-cone. But the fact that they said he uses his hands well, he's got the quickness, he's got the arm length. That this might be a guy to keep an eye on, boys. He may go a little earlier than the 5th round. I'm just saying, like, RAS checks out 8+. We talk about Goody likes those guys, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you never know, man. And he does kind of feel like he's somewhat ascending, although the PFF grades suggest he took a slight step back last year. Been pretty consistent across the board. All right, let's move it along here. Next, we got Jordan Phillips, big defensive tackle out of Texas. It says Texas. That's wrong. He's from Maryland.
Incorrect. Maryland.
We'll get that edited. We'll make a note here. Sometimes I get a little – I put these together so quick. I usually put the schools in too, so that's on me. We can't blame AI for that one. So let's go Jordan Phillips. Give me just a second, and we'll go school. All right. The beautiful thing about these two, they're almost like living documents. So whenever new information comes in, I can always go back and edit these. So like when we get into our training camp previews and everything, we're going to have a running depth chart that's going to constantly be changing, which is going to be really cool. So 176 on our board, Jordan Phillips, defensive tackle out of Maryland. Jordan Phillips is a stout defensive tackle with a low pad level and a strong base to clog running lanes. He's a space eater who holds his own against double teams, though his pass rush production remains limited, relying on bull rush than finesse. His 2024 season showed incremental growth in technique, likely a late round pick. Phillips could offer Green Bay a developmental nose tackle to bolster their defensive front. When you look at the PFF grades here, Jacob, we got a 57.2 on minimal snaps in 2022. Then in 2023, he jumps to a 71.8. 2024, he stays put at a 71.4. Run defense grade 68.6, pass rush grade is 72.7 with the overall defensive grade of 71.4. What do you think about Jordan Phillips here?
Man, he's a little bit interesting. I don't quite know if it's for the reasons that I would enjoy in 2022. Like you said, he only played 3 games. I don't know if that's injury related or just not being able to see the field. 2023, he played 13.
He was a red shirt in 22. Yep.
Okay, thank you. What scares me a little bit would be the fact that he has 0 sacks his entire college career. He has 7 hits and 19 hurries his whole college career. But necessarily, if you're plugging him in as a nose tackle, you're not really looking for a guy that's going to be sitting there being, JJ Watt or whatever. He played predominantly in the A gap in college. I shouldn't say predominantly. He played the bulk of his snaps in college. In 2023, played 224 snaps versus B gap at 187. In 2024, he played 283 versus 243 in the B gap. He actually graded up decent as far as his pass rush win rate is at 11% for being a big boy in the middle. That's not bad at all. Pass rush grade is 72.7, run defense grade is 68.6. I would be okay with us taking a flyer on him in the 5th for sure. I think that the 5th is the earliest I'd go on a guy like Jordan Phillips.
Got it. And Tim, it says here, Braden Fielding in the chat. Appreciate you, buddy. He says he's on my list. Phillips has the wrestling background too, so we threw the wrestling emoji up there. Thank you for that info. Tim, what do you think about Jordan Phillips here, man? We'll go ahead and pull the RAS card for you here as well, man.
Thick.
A 6'7" here. So here's what's crazy. The RAS card was saying 6'3", right? The PFF card was saying 6'3". The RAS card is saying 6'1", 312 pounds. 29 bench reps, though, pretty solid there. Vertical of 31 inches. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's he's basically, a bona fide nose. That's his strength. It seems like, just looking at the tail of the tape on him. But I agree with Jacob, man. I mean, I'd take a flyer on this guy in the 5th for sure. Here we go. D-line again, trenches. I'm all for it. I don't care if they draft 7 defensive players in this draft. I'll be happy, even if we don't get my boy Jaden Higgins or something. But Jordan Phillips, no, I do. I like him. I haven't watched enough tape on him yet. He's on my list of the last of these defensive guys for film study. But, man, PFF is, like, really high on him. They have him at 80 right now on their big board. Yep.
Let's see where he was at the end of the year. Here's what's crazy, Tim. At the end of the college football season, the PFF big board had him at 246.
Wow.
The consensus big board had him at 273. Kyle Krabs has him at 78. Dane Brugler had him at 73.
Okay.
And he was outside of Daniel Jeremiah's top 50, obviously. So, again, the main thing that brings him down is everything. Other than
the main thing that brings him down is everything.
Other than Kyle Krabs and Dane Brugler. And this is why I like our board, because when you look at someone like this, you go, okay, if you remove those 3 guys, and don't get me wrong, Daniel Jeremiah, Dane Brugler, and Kyle Krabs have a big impact on our board at the end of the day. If you remove those, he drops probably another 40 spots, man. Okay.
Yep.
The thing that brings him down is that who he is.
It's what he done. It's who he is, and what he probably will be. Everything. So,
we're gonna give him some.
The Packers surprise us on draft night, take him in the 3rd round. He ends up being a damn stud. It'd be absolutely awesome. Let's see here. Mike Abring with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says, my top pass rushing defensive tackle was Omar Norman. There's a lot of people like him, man. I remember when we had that graphic. Remember we had I can't remember exactly. What was it, Tim? Was it the pass rush opportunities or I can't remember what it was. It was one of those where you had the vertical on the left, the horizontal on the right. He was in the upper right big time.
Yep.
We're not quite as big on Omar Norman Lott on our board, I don't believe. Let me see if I can find him real quick. What do you guys think about Norman Lott? Does anything come to mind right offhand? Or
I mean, like Mike said, the dude's got at what I would consider a D tackle. I think he predominantly played. Yeah, he did play some A gap, but he's predominantly a B gap guy. 18.9 pass rush win rate. So he definitely has.
So why did he score so low on his PFF grade, Jake? His PFF grade, I'm showing. I may have
69.4. Yeah.
It's crazy.
That is interesting because he has a pass rush grade of 81.6, run defense grade, nothing to, 68.1. The true pass rush grade of 88.3. He's got a run stop grade of 6%. I mean,
there's got to be something pulling it down, right? Because the PFF big board at the end of the year had him in the 50 spot. But
he wins primarily with athleticism and some surprising flexibility and agility, but his game lacks proper technique. That's what I'm seeing on PFF right now. Yeah.
The tape may be a little dicey there. But Omar Norman Lott, man, I wouldn't be surprised. We got him in the 123 spot. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the 2nd or 3rd round. Wouldn't surprise me at all, man.
61 on PFF's board right now. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate the super chat, Mike. Thank you, man. We'll keep an eye on him and see if anything changes on our board moving forward for sure. So wrapping this little article up, all 6 players bring traits that could address depth needs for Green Bay, and their meetings with the Packers suggest they're on the team's radar. Which do you like the most of these 6? Let us know in our favorite draft prospects chat here on Patreon. So again, appreciate everybody contributing there to Patreon. You guys talk for just a second amongst yourselves. I'm going to edit this article before I forget, because believe me, I will forget.
Well, let's answer that question ourselves, Jacob. Out of these guys we just broke down, who's your favorite on this list?
I think I'd have to say Kobe, just because of the possibility of, like, he just, to me, seems like he could be a gem, one of those diamonds in the rough type guys where it's like, how come nobody had him on up higher on his board, and the aggressiveness that he seems like he plays with. Again, I think it's just like we've talked about. One of the things he doesn't control is he's a little bit undersized, but if we are able to pack on maybe 5-10 pounds, a guy that's that willing to play the run fit, that is that good at what he does as a cornerback, I just think, that to me is I really don't think he's going to last till the 5th, to be honest. But if for some reason he did, I'd be skipping that card up. I'd be like Leo DiCaprio in that meme, when he's.
Well, you stole my answer because that was my answer.
Sorry, buddy.
Sure. I like Kobe the most, and then I guess you know, I'd probably have to go with Tyler Barron as my
That's a good one
secondary
too.
choice. Yeah.